So yesterday I was working with several clients and the theme of Saturn and Aries, and really starting to feel that pressure cooker sensation is coming up for many. And it was really fascinating to work with different generations. One client that I saw yesterday is going through her first Saturn return. So she's 29 years old and her natal Saturn is in Aries. And we were working through trust and surrender to the process, trusting her intuition, her body, the messages that she was receiving, and really assisting with decharging, opening up the fear. What are the stories, right? And I love using fear, false evidence appearing real. And as I was assisting her, it took me back. I opened that pocket in my own life where I was going through my own first Saturn return. And it started about 26, and my daughter was about 4 years old at the time. And it was this crushing weight and pressure of truth all over my being, and on my chest that, hey, if you don't make changes, you're going to fuck up your whole life, right? And at the same time, it was inviting me to do something that just scared the shit out of me. And that developed in my body of work what I call the terror body. And it's similar but unique from Eckhart Tolle's pain body, in that it's a direct response from our nervous system to expand and to carry more and to broaden into a capacity for more. And it brings forth just this cellular discomfort that feels like a caged animal, feeling really pinned down, backed up in a corner. And it brings out everything for us to see, all of the fears, all of the beliefs associated with the stories of where we feel or pretended that we're actually small, right? It's an invitation to become greater than we've ever known ourselves to be. And because it's new, it really pressurizes us and unlocks, calls forth, opens up what I call the terror body, where your root chakra is just going through so much, and you can't get locked up in that prison cell of the fear, of the doubt, of the mind, these programs in the root chakra, because you're busting through ancestral stuff. You are recoding societal imprints. There's just so much. And a lot of this with Saturn and Aries is revolutionizing the individual and our expression as our soul. And society doesn't teach us, from an early age, right? There's nothing about, oh yeah, live your soul, live your spirit, live your heart, follow your bliss. It's no, fit into the mold, cut off your limbs so that you're not a star, so that you can fit as a cube, into the black cube, right? Slot. And so I was recalling those experiences of my first Saturn return and how intense. And so it's just important to know Saturn returns happen every 29 and a half years. So the first one we really start to feel 26, 27 into 30, and they last anywhere from 2.5 to 3 years. The next cycle, 56, all the way into 60, and so on. So I just wanted to share that, this fear can feel very real. And we have to work through the nervous system. Nervous system regulation is key. Getting out of the mind and getting out onto the earth and into the breath, and really simplifying, coming deeply into the root chakra, reviewing the fear and survival programming, right? Which also is going to include anything stored in the DNA libraries of lack and separation and fear or slavery. But what I was sharing with my first client, the one who's going through her first Saturn return, is that the pressure that you feel is actually squishing out these old beliefs, these false beliefs, because we are ready for an updated operating system in our belief system, and how we feel about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, how we conduct ourselves, and to be bold and courageous and to be completely lit from the inside out with that spark of inspiration. That is our soul, our divinity, our God spark, calling us forward in these pioneering, entrepreneurial, innovative new ways that have never been seen before. And so it's one of the deepest, I call it these initiations, the fire walks, where it's like you're walking over burning coals, you're in halls of fire, because it's a Phoenix moment to burn away what is no longer true. And you have to review piece by piece, right? And it is very intense. Conversely, working with a woman who was in her late 50s and into 60s and entering an entirely new chapter in her life. And seeing the differences, you know, between like a young woman who is single, who is choosing a career path for herself or exploring herself, and where society caused her to feel shut down or not really embrace who she was, her energetic gifts, you know, all these different sensitivities and psychic abilities, right? And she's trying to fit in to a clinical path that just wasn't aligned for her and what that was bringing up, versus a woman who had a family, has grown children, and is now in a transitional space with herself, her life path. She's out of nowhere, you know, getting these deeper callings and more of like a shamanic calling, sacred leadership, these templates of like the sacred council of the wise women, and how to integrate that in her life, and determining how that's going to impact her relationships and her marriage, you know. So these are huge initiations right now. And it's important to balance. I really think, you know, journaling is a great way. Write down all of the fears and all of the belief systems that you're ready, whether you feel ready or not, you need to address very seriously everything that's coming up. Write it down, and then write down loving pieces about this to counterbalance. And it's a huge faith and trust, you know, on this quantum evolutionary path, this ascension of consciousness. You only get one brick at a time, and however long it takes for you to make the move, make the change, embody it, and step on that one stepping stone, however long it takes for you to get there, you're kind of drawing it out. At the same time, you can only do what your nervous system is ready to do, but it's important to utilize all of the tools to regulate, strengthen, soothe, self-comfort, take good care of yourself without hiding, without running, you know, without suppressing. And as you go through these processes, it does get easier because you start to build an internal inventory and index, and you start to see, oh, this isn't personal. You know, our emotions can become less because we've already dealt with these core beliefs, these core fears that no longer serve. And then you get the next stepping stone, and the next, and the next. And really, it's an opportunity to see how the universe meets you in your boldness and in your courage. And for me, the way that I classify how this feels in these initiations, yes, they can be scary, but when we move away from the fear and feel into this doorway that is opening and imagine ourselves walking through, you feel so lit from the inside. And I call it your sacred fuck yes. Like, what just feels so outlandishly, outrageously magical and delicious, and you feel so energized by it throughout your body, and it can feel orgasmic, just ecstasy. And so that's the fire walk, is that you are in a what do you call those, a balancing line, a balancing act, like walking the tightrope, right, between your fear and the past and the old, the devil, you know, right? Versus the unknown, which can be absolutely thrilling. And so it's up to us to adopt the mentality to perceive the reality and what's going on to continue forward. So just wishing you all courage, joy, magic, bliss, trusting yourself through this process, trusting the expressions that are asking to come through you. And it does get easier every single time. Sending you so much love. See you next time.